are we only doing photos from this phone?
I don't know.
To start, we can just you can just plug that in.
Okay.
Just
Let me just put everything else on. Do not.
Christy's phone. Why do I have?
Okay, so we're live now. So don't say anything racist. But most likely at this point we will have quite a bit of lag in audio. So.
And we are on YouTube, correct?
We are on YouTube.
All platforms.
Just YouTube.
Just YouTube.
Just the tube.
Yeah. Okay, so that is. So I may have to move you in a bit. Okay, so that is towards the outside.
Posture.
There's. Hi. Okay, so everybody is on camera right now. I'm going to test your camera position, Christy, in a second. Essen, you're good to go. You are a little bit to the left, so I need to move you.
Okay. Perfect.
Wow. High tech.
Okay. All right, welcome everybody, ladies and gentlemen, to all and nobody. We're sitting here with me, Derek, and we'll do that again. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
Doing
Good,
pretty
thanks.
well. How are you
All right,
doing?
well, thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate it.
No problem.
You're welcome.
I'd like to. This is going to be. We did a Essen and Nia, and I did a multi-person podcast a while back, and so this is maybe one of. I did one with Mo, one with Nia, one with Essen, and then one all together. So this will be the fourth or fifth time I've actually had other guests on. So I appreciate you guys coming, especially after your busy schedules.
No problem.
Saving the world one day at a time.
Yes. So the reason why I have you guys here today is I want to talk a little bit about and just understand you don't have to feel self-conscious, even though anybody could see this at any time. But nobody's watching.
Okay, great.
Sounds good.
So
no one.
Right. So the thing to think about is just obviously share as much as you can. So the reason why I'm having you guys on is I want you to talk about you've actually traveled the world, not the whole world, but quite a bit of it, and I wanted to capture some of your experiences and your perspectives on what it was like traveling, what it was like traveling together, what your favorite places are. So I guess we could start with why did you guys decide to do it?
Well, so we were both graduating in May 2018. And I remember, I think back in December, Essen had mentioned he really wanted to go to Paris because he hadn't left America yet.
Okay.
And that kind of interested me as well because we had some time off before we were both going to start our full-time jobs. And so we both kind of discussed Paris. And then it was like, okay, now we could do Italy. We should do Prague. We should do Berlin. And then I think we got up to like 10 different cities. And we had this huge long list, and we were like, okay, we're going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the streamline process. I feel like it was more like I said, yeah, let's go to Paris. And then thought about it a little bit. And I remember I was sitting in my room. And then one day you came into my room and you said, okay, so we're planning out this trip. And I was like, what do you mean? And then you got an Excel sheet and you're like, all right, so what countries do you have? And I said, okay, I have these like 7 countries. You're like, okay, well, we're going to map it all out. So we mapped it out. And then you came in the next week and you're like, all right, so I'm buying flights for these X amount of places. Do it. And then I was like, but what do you mean? So I got super nervous. Then 2 weeks later, I bought one flight. So I think I bought the flight to Paris.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was like Paris, was the start, and then we had like maybe Amsterdam, Berlin, Prague, because our friends had gone there, and then it really grew into what we had maybe a few weeks after that. So it was like you said, that small list where you were like, hey, we're gonna plan these out 10 countries, but then it grew into this like massive, once in a lifetime experience that was like totally mapped out. And it went from being some like little
Yeah.
coffee room chat to uh this fully planned out, decked out,
Mhm.
awesome trip.
40 days.
Yeah, 40 days. Something like $2,500 upfront, right?
Mhm.
Something like that. Maybe I think it was like 1,500 upfront. I probably had like $600 to my name with rent coming up. So I remember just being like freaked out. And then you were like, all right, you're gonna find a way to like get the money. And I was like, yeah, sure. Okay. And then we just made it work.
Yeah.
I remember every single day you're like, hey, do you have your $1,500? And I was like, yeah, I'll find a way. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, then eventually once we planned it out, I actually had someone at work help me plan. So I went into work one day. Christy was like, hey, I need you to like help me out with this. And I was like really struggling with pulling stuff together. So I took one of the graduate assistants and she sat me down and she gave me her plan. And we sat down for like an hour and planned out everything. So Christy and I had like, the 10 countries. But then we created a basically like a everything from a budget to booking to Airbnb to when I needed specific rounds of money. It was almost like a series of investing for a startup, but for my trip.
Okay.
And then I presented that to Christy, and I was like, "I'll have the money by then."
Yeah.
And then I was
And he
like,
did.
"I hope that we can make this work because I don't know." So yeah, that was
Yeah.
So okay, so there's a bunch of questions. So the first question is this whole idea of going to Europe. I'm sure that this is just part of the dialogue that's happening on campus with all the students. So is that why you guys decided to go? Or was this like a thing that you planned when you were a kid? Like, is this something that you feel like it was a rite of passage for moving into adulthood? Like, what was the impetus to deciding that this is what? Because you could decide anything. Like, you could have decided to go to Miami and club for 6 weeks straight.
True.
So what do you think started that? Maybe it's a different reason for both of you.
I think it's totally a different reason for me because I travel a lot when I was younger because my mom was a flight attendant. She would get free flights, and then my dad would travel a lot for work. And I had done college sport for 3 years, so I hadn't traveled anywhere really in those 3 years, and so I feel like my travel bug had kind of died down to say, like, I was never traveling. I didn't really have a desire to go, and I actually didn't think about Europe at all until Essen brought it up, and I think the more we, like,
Oh.
researched it, the more I was like, "Huh, this sounds really great," and then I couldn't really get the idea out of my head. So I think for me, that's kinda how it was definitely because of Essen.
I didn't know that. I mean, I knew you had traveled. I think my travel bug probably started with like in the 6th grade. I got a world map. No, not 6th grade, 1st grade. I had a world map, and my parents were talking about going to Europe. And I also had encyclopedias, and these were the old ones. These were from like when I was born, 1996, 1997. And I would look through them. So I would look on the map, and then I would look at the pictures, and I'd be like, oh, that looks cool. I think reading books and then seeing Windows screensavers probably sparked my interest the most. And I
Windows, like from the computer. That's funny.
So
That's interesting.
And similar to Christy, majority of my all my teen years were spent in the United States. So we traveled a lot within the United States. And I think that also probably is what sparked me to want to get out, is because I've seen, 30 odd states or something like that. And I met so many people at BU. I met so many people, just in my life in general. Everyone's international from somewhere else, and I have a pretty good understanding of what happens here because I have family everywhere and things like that. So I thought that it'd be cool to see other people and how they live, because I had always had this thought that how I live can't be how everyone else lives. So I think meeting Christy's from Australia, just hearing how she lives, her day to day, and like how they look at certain things blew my mind. I remember the first couple of weeks that we were talking and hanging out, like I couldn't even understand how she spoke English. So, those types of things also happened with the people that I met at BU. So, some of my best friends were, from Barcelona. I had a friend from Amsterdam, another friend from Portugal, kids on my team from Spain, Trinidad. So all those, all that adds up to, spark curiosity to see what that was like. And everyone says that everyone thinks that America is all big and bad. So I was like, okay, like I would love to see what else is out there and where we get our inspiration, I guess.
Right.
Nice.
Cool. So this girl in the office, how did she know? How did she know you were going to Europe, and how'd she get to the point?
So it's Jen. So I'll just leave it at that. So how did she know? I would say that I was pretty close to her, and I was pretty close to my boss as well. And we would communicate about everything that would happen, whether or not she was someone that wanted to know.
Okay.
Right. So it was a very chatty. I mean, when I think of The Office, think of it as just like any TV show, any sitcom. We just talk about random stuff.
Okay.
So obviously, me wanting to do something, I talk about it. So I came in there, and it was kind of it's like my parallel universe to school life. So school is like engineering, constantly focused, soccer, and then work out, eat. There's like no chance to talk about other stuff. So me talking about Europe, and everyone knowing that how expensive Europe is, I'll just go over there and be like, all right, I'm gonna go to Europe. I'm gonna do these things. I'm gonna plan it out. What should I do? A lot of people in there had traveled, so I would just ask questions.
So as a grad student, she probably was.
So she had actually just gone to London.
Okay.
Yeah, she had done this massive trip to London. She spent like 12 days there, and I was stressing her out. She just did not get it. She was like, you can't do any of this stuff. Like, how are you going to do it? Like, I did London. I spent $3,000, and maybe it's $2,000, but I think it was like 2,500 or whatever, 12 days. She's like, I had everything planned out. You need more time, you need more money, and you need to be more organized.
Oh.
Or else this isn't going to work out. And I was like, I'm going to make it work out. And I was like, if you want to talk about it, you can help me. I was like, we can schedule a day. And she was like, would love to. So then one day I told Christy, I was like, hey, I'm going to have everything planned out. Just wait. And then went in, we spent like an hour and a half, got on an Excel sheet. I mean, you can make this thing into a marketable artifact.
Right.
Yeah. So every day, restaurants, lodging, experiences, how much money you need to make this week, how many hours you need to work the week running up.
Oh, so you actually had even your economy.
Oh yeah. It's like, it's almost like a sprint plan as we have in business, or just, she basically was my project manager.
That's great.
Yeah. I only, it's just like business anyway. You only really listen to like 20% of the plan, and everything else is winging it. But it was a great place. It was a great way for us to use as a guide.
Will you pause there for a second? I think the AC is off. You remember how to turn it on?
Yeah.
Will you turn it on right quick? If it's not on.
I feel like I feel something.
Do you? It could be on. It could just be hot over here because I'm in the corner.
You're in the corner, yeah.
Up against the wall. The captain. It's behind the gun rack. Is it on 82 or?
No, it's on, baby.
It's on? Okay. All right.
Just hot. It's hot in the seat.
Yeah, it's all right. It'll probably turn off at 7.
I reminded Essen to turn off the air conditioning.
Oh, you did?
Mhm.
Oh,
Because isn't the time?
yeah.
Quarter
But you know what? They it's only for businesses. Yesenia found out. So we did all of that.
Oh, it's just gonna be hot when I come home.
Oh man.
That's funny.
Babe, do you want me to fan you?
No, it's okay.
Do you want me to sit here?
I'm not. I'm actually okay. I just wanted to make sure that they.
I'm
weren't.
feeling good.
Yeah,
How's it going?
Great.
we're still live.
Oh, bye.
Thank you for that. I guess it was on. Okay, so I apologize for breaking the flow there. So you had a spreadsheet. She set it up. Everything was working based on what Essen needed.
No,
To-
Essen and Christy.
Essen and Christy needed to get to Europe.
She didn't seem too worried about Christy though.
She was worried about you because you were the one working on campus, and
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Yep.
Oh.
Working on campus with 2 jobs
yeah.
and seemingly not hitting deadlines.
Oh, for the schedule or for?
Both. Oh, with the schedule. No, I was hitting deadlines at work.
Okay.
But you know, she was like, "Have you booked any of these things?" Nah, I'll figure it out.
Okay, so what at what point in the school year was this? Like when did you guys, so this was
Think-
senior year you started talking about it, not
Yep.
not junior year.
Yep.
At
and-
all.
Yep. Senior year, like winter break. I think just before we went to break, or when we came back, and then we started like February, March. I think pulling trigger on a lot of the flights and accommodation.
Okay, so right before you went to break, you guys were like, "Hey,"
Yeah.
and then so it kind of like marinated over the holiday.
Yeah. And I definitely think over the holiday, I like didn't tell my parents or anything. It wasn't like a cement idea. And then I
Okay.
think we came back to break and we're both like, let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that transpired over the break too. Like I finished soccer and I had freedom.
Okay.
And then so that opened up a lot of things because I could work more. So all of a sudden I had more money.
Okay.
And then we talked about going to Colombia, and then her friends did something else. So then all of a sudden the ball just is like we got this momentum,
Mm-hmm.
and Christy just came back like pretty inspired too. Because I mean, like I said, we talked about Paris, we talked about a few things, and all of a sudden Christy was like, "Oh, but we got this,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden the plan just took off."
Okay. So you went to Colombia before this?
Yeah, yeah,
Spring break.
yeah. And I think this conversation probably started before Colombia.
Okay.
So it was
Mhm.
like, I want to leave the country, I want to check stuff out, and then all of a sudden Colombia happened over spring break. I mean, so Colombia was spring break, which was in March,
Yeah.
right? Beginning of March, end of
Yeah.
February. And then my buddy went to Colombia for December because that's their like carnival. He was in Colombia and he was like, "Hey guys, we need to do this," and then created a PowerPoint, presented it to us, and then I think everyone was just in that mood to do something cool, do something new. So then everyone kind of
course,
pulled
right.
trigger on it, which is kind of unique because you don't really. We're talking about it. Like, when do you have 20-year-olds do something
Yeah.
in alignment?
Yeah.
Is your wow, sorry.
No, mom.
That's so funny. Let me call her from here. It's a fluid experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Christy, when did
I was going to talk about the process of us like getting started with booking flights and like,
Hello?
But when did you decide like we're gonna do this? Because I remember you when you told your parents. Like I remember when you told your mom. Like I remember that conversation vividly. Like you're like, "Hey, I had a conversation with my mom. She said, yeah, do it, do whatever you want." But when did you decide?
I think my parents were both, as soon as both my parents were on board, I was like, okay, yeah. And then I think we both booked a flight to Paris. And I think as soon as you book that first flight, you know there's no going back, and you can just kind of start going from there.
Right.
And I think the hardest part is working out your connections. So like we had the places you wanted to see, the places I wanted to see, we had them on the list. And then it was like, now we have to look at the flight combinations, because you
Okay.
could cut down thousands of dollars by getting the right flight combination,
Mhm.
because the flights from different cities are so variable, the
Mhm.
cost of them. So it's like almost like an algorithm of like, where should we go first? From the East Coast, obviously, like Paris is probably the closest point, or London. And then from there, should we go to the top of Europe, so like Berlin, Amsterdam, and then we go around to the bottom, or should we do the bottom first, so places like on the beach side, like Greece and Italy, things like that.
Okay.
So I think we spent like quite a few nights in college. Like I would come over to Essence, and we would be like, okay, which combination is going to be the cheapest price? And then I
Mhm.
think as soon as you get a really cheap combination, we like had to just book,
Right.
because
Okay.
it's going to change the next day and you're going to redo
Right.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you went through a multitude of combinations just trying to find the best price.
Yes.
And then what in terms of like what's the best next destination in proximity as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for flow of the
For
of the
timing,
experience
yeah.
itself.
And I think it's also important that you set metrics. You set your upper and lower bounds. So, I said, hey, we need to stay in hostels, not knowing what was really out there.
Right.
Thinking hostels are lowest, most cost effective
Okay.
form of accommodation, when in reality, that's not really the case, nor is it the safest.
Okay. So it's not safe.
I would say they're probably safer now than
So
before.
probably in Spain and Italy they weren't.
I mean, we went
Yeah.
to a place in Spain and it was terrible.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's like if anyone's seen a movie about going to a motel in Texas,
Okay.
where
And
you have
this
where,
was
where you
where?
have a sink.
Spain.
Yeah,
Wow.
we have a sink
Barcelona.
that's like this big, and then it has a pole coming down it, and two knobs. One's broken, and then you have a light on the wall. It's basically a strip, and
Okay.
there's probably roaches on the ground,
Yeah.
and your door is a little latch with a nail.
Roaches in Spain.
Oh, it was terrible.
Wow.
Honestly, I recommended that we stay up the whole night and wait till the next day
because it was
to go to
so-
there. No. This was me before being cheap. I said, okay, we're gonna get in at 7.
Okay.
We should go out.
Oh yeah. This is his solution to everything.
We should go out, leave our bags in a locker, and then check in the next day.
So like miss a whole night of paying for accommodation, because we'd go out and party till like 5 or 6 a.m.
Oh, this was your
Yeah.
This was your budget.
Yeah.
I think the thing with hostels too is that you have to share a room with other strangers,
Right.
because it's like your bunk beds.
Mhm.
And I did look into it, and it was like you'd be sharing, like, there's a stranger right across the room from you.
Okay.
So I think I definitely didn't want that experience.
Yeah. When you're going for 40 days and you're going with your significant other, probably wouldn't recommend it.
Right.
I mean, actually, it would have been fine, but you just need a specific type of personality, and you have to be willing to accept an increased level of risk,
Right.
Yeah.
because with more people, there's more risk. But on the flip side, there are a lot of positives that come with hostels. You have communities.
Mhm.
You meet different people from
Right.
different
Right.
areas, and like generally, people that show up at hostels are willing to take that risk together.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's just like anything. It's like friends that you have that are like a little bit take more risks than others.
Right.
It's going to be more fun, but you also might end up arrested. So it's like you got to weigh your options.
Yeah.
And 40 days, you multiply that, the chances of you getting hurt are high.
Yeah.
Did
And-
you guys go ahead?
Oh no, you go.
Did you guys meet any weird people in hostels? How many hostels did
We
you
didn't
stay?
do any.
You didn't do any?
No.
Not one. Oh,
No.
okay.
I would call that one in Spain
Yeah.
the hostel of horrors.
I think we mainly did Airbnbs.
Yeah, we did Airbnbs the whole summer.
Okay.
Highly recommend it.
And yeah, I do remember a couple of horror stories from,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
that wasn't the first trip though. That was the second time.
Yeah, we were veterans by that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What did we-
That's talking about Spain.
Spain. Yeah.
I guess we had 2 days of just.
So-
Yeah, Spain was rough the first 3 days.
The bed bugs.
bed bugs.
The first,
in the Airbnb.
this was the second time though, right?
No,
First
first
time.
time.
Even the first time had bed bugs.
That was the only time.
No, that was the only time we had bed bugs.
Oh wait, so Felipe met you the first time you guys
Yeah.
went?
Yeah. That was
Off the
that.
Wow, why do I feel like that was like after you were already?
After we were seasoned vets, because we
Yeah.
were seasoned vets.
Huh.
Yeah.
We had our like Europe adventure,
Okay.
our beach vacation, and then we met up with friends.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The thing with the Barcelona Airbnb was we met their host and he showed us into a place. Everything looked great. And then Esther and I went out for some drinks on the first night in Barcelona, and Felipe and Grayson weren't there yet. And we come back from the bar and we're trying to use the key to open the door, and we cannot open it. We've tried, I think we were there for like 2 hours
Literally an
trying
hour.
every way to do it.
And he opened
And-
the door like
But so it turns out we couldn't sleep there for the night because he's Airbnb, like we couldn't get through to him. So Airbnb was like, we'll cover the cost of this night. We'll just go to a hotel. So it was
Okay.
5 a.m. by the time that happened.
Oh
We
my
went to a
God.
hotel. The next day we're like, okay, friends are here. Sorry, we met up with the host and he did this trick with the door where he did like 4 times left and 2 times right. And it went bang open.
And this was part of the instructions, but
He never told us them though.
oh,
Yeah.
No, so in Spain you have to turn your locks 3 times. So you click and then you click again. I don't know. Something happened back in 1200 where they decided that turning your lock 3 times is what the proper way. So literally and I'm telling you, it's a massive door with a little key.
yeah,
looks
I've
like-
seen them. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember those.
So he literally was like, then he held it to the left
Okay.
and then shook the door violently. And then kicked it with like the bottom of his foot and opened it. He's like, see, what's wrong with it? What are you talking about? And
Yeah,
he's
we
this-
felt so stupid.
yeah, and he was like this like I don't know, French dude with like, you know, super tanned leather skin. He
okay.
was
Yeah.
like probably like 5'8" with long hair, you know, been
Uh.
in Barcelona for 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, he either was like someone's friend who managed 50 properties, or he was a super rich dude that would just like to do this on the side. Who knows? Or he was just, you know, this was just something that he did on the side. I have no idea, but he was so rude to us. He was like, you guys are idiots. Like, how did you not know how to do this? I'm like, I'm sorry that like my door just opens.
Yeah.
And
Right.
And so then wait for a second night. So then we have our friends come and join us. We now know how to get into the place. So we're like, oh, this is going to be a great time. It's such a nice area. We're so excited. So then we go out for dinner, we go explore the town, and then we come back to the Airbnb. And then I think I was showering and the other girl got into bed. She was like, I'm going to go to bed. Good night. And then she comes out, she's running, screaming, and she sees bed bugs everywhere.
Oh my God,
And
that's
they
so
were, like,
ridiculous.
The big ones that were in the wood of the bed, they were everywhere. And so immediately we knew that they were in everything. And so we were calling on the phone for Airbnb. We were calling Airbnb for about 3 hours trying to get through because internationally it was difficult then. And then they had said that they couldn't put us in another Airbnb because we were now infected. So they couldn't help us out.
Oh, okay.
But if they show us we'll go to another hotel for another night, and if we
You
show them
would
the
know.
receipt, they will
yeah.
pay us back.
So yeah, they didn't let us go to another. They wouldn't book us another stay, and then they said that send in your photos. We can't help you. And I think at this time we looked online. Airbnb had just stopped helping people.
okay.
You know, you hit that point of revenue where you stop helping people because you need to make profit or something like that. I don't know.
Well, they probably reached the point where it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you complained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, you know, they really could have helped. But it sucks. Like, I think now it wouldn't have been as bad because everyone would have had the money to be like, okay, like we'll get that $1,000 back in 2 weeks.
Right.
But
Right.
then it was like, oh my God.
You guys are on a budget now.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. You're still. I mean, you're on a tight budget already.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
all right, I have like $500 coming in like a couple days.
Yeah.
Who has $1,000 right now to do this? So we're going to be down $2,000. We don't know if we're going to get this $1,000 back.
Mhm.
And then there's just so much anxiety. And on top of that, you have bed bugs. You can't sleep here. So everyone's freaked out. No one
Yeah.
knows, like, you know, you don't know if bed bugs are going to infect you. You have to go
Yeah.
to the hospital. And there was a lot. And we
Right.
started sending photos into
Wait.
Twitter, everything.
We
Yeah.
should look. We should look for the photos so we can
We'll show them. Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely have them.
Yeah, I
give,
have
give
some
an
too.
example.
Yeah,
Do you have them on here?
probably.
Get-
It'd be a while. 50,000 photos to look through,
Oh, okay. So you don't know.
Yeah, I can.
or maybe on
No,
Twitter.
it's all right. We don't have to find it if you don't think you can find it. It's what's so weird is that it seems like something that they deal with all the time, and I wonder if it's just a part of like the European experience
Yeah, definitely.
for in the lower end,
Yeah, definitely.
or is it mid range?
That was a mid-range Airbnb.
I mean, yeah, we
Okay.
spent.
we spent more on that one.
It was
for
like
sure.
250 a
Yeah.
night,
Yeah,
maybe 350 a night.
versus others were
Wow.
like 70.
Yeah, it was. I think it was like around 350 a night.
That's outrageous to
So
have like
and
a,
that's 4 people, so it fit about 5. So yeah, it was 350 because it was 4 or 5
Yeah.
days, $1,200.
But the
like that.
thing was that those bed bugs had been there for years, because we looked it up and they had the whole like, what do you say, like you have like the babies to the
stains.
larger ones, the whole life cycle of the bed
okay,
bugs were there,
okay.
and they were ingrained in the wood. So it wasn't like, oh, this is just the most recent guest that brought in the bed bugs. These were here.
So you're telling me that there were guests before that
100%.
essentially slept
Yeah.
through those bed
Yeah.
bugs.
Yeah.
100%, and it's hard to know.
Whoa.
And I mean, we were in, for instance, we were in Italy, and like we were being eaten alive. We thought it was mosquitoes, but for all I know, it was bed bugs. And it wasn't until I got back where I was like,
Yeah.
Right.
did we just like really go through that?
Yeah.
And those are just certain things that you just don't really deal with in America.
Yeah.
There's a lot of litigation. I'm
Yeah.
sure someone would have sued someone if you would have gone through that, for sure.
I've definitely heard of bed bugs in America though.
Yeah.
But you can. It's like
I think what he's saying is especially for if you're paying $350 a night,
Right.
you're not gonna deal with $300, $250. It's gonna be very unusual to have bed bugs, but they do
Right.
have them in hotels here for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, they help you out pretty. I mean, I think it was. You know what? It may be language. The language barrier is probably a big deal too, because like
Yeah.
us getting help was hard.
Yeah.
You know, as much as I can speak Spanish,
Yeah.
the concierge at 2 a.m. doesn't want to talk to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "All right, it's the two of you, so you each need your own bed."
Right.
I'm like, "Dude, are you kidding me?"
So you're gonna pay double.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing I remember. I made a mistake in my first trip to Europe with a date on a it wasn't an Airbnb. I think it was an apartment, and I had booked the completely wrong month.
Oh no.
I mean, there's a longer story to it, but ultimately, we get there and we realize that I call and ask for the keys, and she's like in an Italian accent. She's like, this is not the right month, and this is like 2 o'clock in the morning, and
Oh, man.
so I'm like scrambling. There's a whole other, like I said, backstory to it, but I'm scrambling to find another place. But the whole point of it is that she was not accommodating at
Mhm.
all.
Yeah. No.
Like it's like once they know you're in a bind and they got your money, like they're not going to help you.
Yeah,
And
No.
then,
no.
and then the language barrier becomes a real barrier.
Yeah.
you know?
Yes.
And sometimes I wonder, like, is it the language barrier?
No, it's not.
Is it like?
no.
Yeah.
It becomes well anyway, yes.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like you wonder, so as a traveler that goes to Europe, you wonder what could you do to, I mean, obviously you would have to fortify and put some sort of insurance on your purchases and stuff like that, but you wonder
Mhm.
like what you could do to prevent that kind of thing from happening or being taken advantage of.
I think looking into the Airbnb reviews more, we tried as much as we could to look at every Airbnb review,
Okay.
but that might have been something that we just didn't look hard enough in. And then I think honestly, just paying more for accommodation.
Okay.
As bad as it sounds to say, I think if you buy a hotel, in some situations, you know you're going to get a better
That's
kind
true.
of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, that's why it says set a threshold, like set your upper bound,
Right.
and then commit to it. You know, like the first time we went, it was $50 a day per person.
Right.
And then I gave Christy $25 more that we could do, and I'll pay her back.
Okay.
And we did that in some places. And then there was like a couple places where we had to do 100 each. But like when you do that, it makes it easier because you can scope it out, and then if you need to do a few more days, then it's like only a couple $100 more
Yeah.
versus being like 1,000, 2,000. And then I think also it's like we were talking earlier. It's like about your expectation.
Mm-hmm.
Like set your expectation properly. If you have a place that's gonna be $50, don't show up thinking like it's gonna be the Ritz Carlton.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But I mean, it shouldn't have bed bugs. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, we had places where they didn't have shower doors.
Yeah.
Right. So I wonder. So if you were to glean a pro tip out of this, what would you say for an accommodation amount? What would you say would be a great sort of price to stick with to mitigate any issues with bed bugs, the host being accountable for
Mm.
the
Maybe above 100,
Yeah, honestly,
between 100 and
yeah,
150 or 100, 200.
150. I'd
Yeah.
say 150.
150
US,
is a good.
You know you're getting
per
a
person.
good deal.
150 US per
Oh, I was
person.
gonna say
Whoa.
total. I would
That's-
say
You're
between
saying
us both.
no bed bugs, nothing.
Okay, so just pause for a second. We're thinking about people in college or just out of college, and they're going to spend. You
Oh,
guys spent 6 weeks in
That's
Europe.
different though.
Well, I mean, but we got to find that number, because if somebody watches this video, we have to be able to lead them down the right path. So, and there has to be that number.
So honestly,
Yeah.
major markets. We have to do it in tier. You have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3.
Okay.
You got Paris, London, and Amsterdam. Tier 1. 100%.
Well, we'll take London off the.
Europe.
It's a. Oh yeah, because Brexit, whatever.
Well, no, I'm just saying taking it off because you're not going to find any accommodations there probably for.
Yeah. We
Like,
didn't
a
stay
great
overnight
price.
there, so.
Super
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
Amsterdam, wildly expensive.
Mhm.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, it's like with good cause, everything there is like perfect.
Okay.
So you show up, you're like, could totally eat off the ground.
So
Yeah.
it's like Paris was like that as well, right?
Amsterdam's way cleaner.
Way cleaner than Paris.
Way
Yeah.
cleaner.
Wow.
Amsterdam's like in a box. Everything is just perfectly
Interesting.
working with each
But you
other.
could probably
it's
fit
clean.
Amsterdam where the Eiffel Tower is.
Right. Yeah.
So
I was just
Yeah.
going to say.
I would say around 150 together.
yeah.
Total 150 per
Yeah.
day.
And you're gonna get something good. And then I think when you get around the 75 total to 100, it's like this might have some complications.
Okay.
Actually, especially as a female,
Yeah,
I think as a male you could swing it, or like,
definitely.
and I'm not saying that in a way that like,
A male, you could swing it for less than that.
yeah, and it's because of the environment.
Yeah.
So-
yeah, you don't have to be. We're all feminists here. You don't have to
Yeah,
be that
yeah.
politically correct.
I mean, but also it's just how you say it. So like 75, because I mean, even me traveling with Christy, if we pushed it, it made traveling difficult
Okay.
because you were constantly on edge. You'd be in
Mhm.
some weird situations that you don't necessarily need to be in. Whereas you just spend $50 more, and what's $50 more if it's like 10 more days, $500. Okay, like go work for another week, cop some extra hours. There's ways to pick up that cost.
Mhm.
So yeah, definitely 75. If you're a guy and you're like just with like another buddy and you guys don't really care and you sleep in sleeping bags, I would even say $30 to $50, and you stay on the outskirts and you get on a bike and you pull it and you roll it in. You
Mm.
can even do that with a girl, but you gotta you're really pushing the limits. Like you can be 10 miles out taking a train in or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. How much
versus-
is the train to take in?
They can be expensive.
yeah.
Like in Paris.
Okay.
Yeah, expensive.
Well, if
So
you're
at the
taking a
end of the
bullet
day,
train-
you probably.
I would say also like if you're in a city where you're there for 2 or 3 days and you're like out all the time and you're going, just get a place that's safe and just pay for the safety of it, like the security of your belongings and
Okay.
when you're there at night. But then if you're there in a place for like 6 days and you want to kind of get the feeling of like, let's walk into the town, let's get some groceries, maybe we want to cook when we get back, let's
Mhm.
like really live the experience of what the town is offering, then I think you could pay a little more to get a nice-ish home if you're going to stay there during the day a bit.
Mhm.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, so pro tip would be spend somewhere between 150 and $150 for
Yeah.
accommodations, and you'll probably mitigate any issues with bed bugs and
Safety.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
And
that,
also depending on the day. So if you go like
Mm.
if you travel Tuesday to Friday, and a lot of places in Europe during the summer are awesome during those times, you get a much cheaper rate than going on Saturday, Sunday,
Right.
or Friday.
okay.
So that's something to take into account too.
And
Yeah.
what do you guys? Okay, so I can't believe we're already at 40 minutes. So
Oh.
it's crazy how fast these things go. So okay, so I don't want to really jump this far into it, but I will. What's your favorite place? Which place did you like the most?
I liked Paris the most. I think you're
Okay.
the same.
Yeah, Paris.
Yeah.
And why do we like Paris the most?
You know what? It's like, because I feel like when I go back to Paris, it'll be a different experience.
Really?
I'll have that same feeling of being like, wow, this is amazing. Like I have so much to learn.
Okay.
That's like, I don't think I could ever get over it.
Mm.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think you can walk around the streets and like Essen said, there's always something different. Like it's like a huge New York, but instead of like dirty buildings and trash on the sidewalk, it's like beautiful architecture.
Mm-hmm.
There's music playing, there's people are selling food and they're so happy. And so it's like you're walking around for like days and you're seeing new stuff every time. And then you'll go get some cheap wine that's like $3. You'll drink it by a river or you'll drink it by the Eiffel Tower.
Mm.
And you get some tomatoes and some food, and it'll be like, it won't be that expensive if you look hard, and it's just super romantic. And then we also found the bar scene the second time around. That was really
Oh.
cool.
Okay.
There's a lot of like hole in the wall places and like places you have to jump through a laundromat or places you jump through a tiny door, and there's just so much.
Yeah.
So okay. So just thinking about that for a second, because we like Paris as well. So if you spoke French,
Mm-hmm.
like if you were a new French speaker,
Mm.
Paris would probably be insanely fun. Just
Yeah.
because of finding like the hole in the wall restaurants and the
Yeah.
little let's say dive bars, what we would call dive bars in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh. I never thought about that, but that probably would be such a different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think they're a little bit more accommodating with how you speak now.
Right.
And then depending what trade you're in. So like I think with coding, I honestly think that if you're American, you would be able to code over there.
Yeah.
Because code is code.
Right.
I mean, there's certain processes when you get into the weeds of it. Like I'm not gonna know the French word for, you know, I don't know,
Yeah.
some finance or
Like
whatever.
paperclip
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I think there are ways to make it work. People are generally, I mean, most people know English,
Mhm.
although it is France. So I would, it's understandable why they don't want to speak English.
Yeah, but what I was saying is you guys were saying that the second time you went, you got more of an intricate experience.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
And so what I was saying is if you, let's say you're proficient in French
Mm-hmm.
and you met some people that were, let's say they didn't speak English
Mm-hmm.
or they spoke English barely, so you guys would have to communicate with them in French, then those people would take you to the places where they hang out.
Yeah.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And that would be like a completely different experience.
Yeah.
100%. The best example I can give of that is that like in Paris at like 5 p.m.
Okay.
they all hang out and drink
Mhm.
and,
Oh, so
and
it's like-
eat and
okay.
smoke and just talk.
Yeah.
And then like people are like really having serious conversations
Yeah.
with friends.
Yeah.
You would be, I mean, it'd be weird, but you'd still be able, hey, where do I go eat?
Right.
Would be
Yeah.
a completely different answer than what they would give, what we read, and we have good research because we've researched so much.
Yeah.
But I think if we would ask somebody, I mean, just imagine.
Yeah. And I think that's different to New York in that way, where like people will be actually like engaging in conversations. They won't be on their phone. They'll be like talking, and they'll be at like, French restaurants that are so authentic versus
Right.
like in New York, it'll be like, oh, an Italian restaurant, but we're in New York. So like
Right.
there's this kind of inauthenticity versus like when you're walking around Paris, you feel it's real
Mhm.
and you're amongst it.
Hmm.
It also makes you feel like you can be your best. You can get
Yeah.
the most out of yourself.
I think the artistic.
Yeah, it's highly motivating.
So, do you think that's because they seem to appreciate the arts
Mhm.
Yeah.
and talent?
Yeah.
Whereas,
I
yeah.
mean, there's just anything that you ever thought that you could that sparks your interest. There's something there. Like,
right?
if you ever thought, maybe I would be an architect, you're like, all right, cool, best buildings ever created in the world, and that might not be the case, but it's definitely not something you've seen before. So you could just sit there and just learn, and then you're like, okay, like I want to be a musician.
Yeah.
And you got like street performers
Yeah.
galore,
Hmm.
restaurants,
Yeah.
everything, hotels, just
Yeah. And I think as well, like another comparison is like the performers on the street, they're like, they are doing well for themselves and they're showing you that this can be a legitimate thing that you can pull off.
Mm.
So therefore you can keep dedicating yourself to the arts. Whereas I think in America, you see people kind of struggling and they
Mm.
might be wearing the same clothes and they have a reek and a stench.
Right.
And I don't know, you kind of feel like
yeah,
I
they're
don't
not
have,
appreciate it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can't give it credit versus in Paris. I think it's a little
I
different.
didn't even think about that.
Interesting, huh? So they actually have an appreciation for the street performers versus here we look at them with not me because I'm not a part of that we,
Neither,
but
neither.
people look at them with like sort of disdain
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
again they don't value the whole aspect of talent.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So I remember that's kind of something we were talking about too. It's like in Paris, it's almost like the struggle's accepted.
Mm-hmm.
Something that comes a part of it.
Yeah.
Like if you're the dude
Hmm.
that is, we went to, I mean, our Airbnb was basically a maid's quarters. It was, 5 feet by 10 feet, and you had to poop in a wall,
Right.
and there was a bucket outside your door. It was crazy. But so
Yeah.
that was our Airbnb. But then you have the dude next to us. He looked like a struggling artist, had long hair
Yeah.
coming out of, stomping out of his room at like 11 a.m. when he wakes up with his, bucket of water, tossing it into
That's
to
outrageous.
the wall. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like, definitely kind of depressed,
Okay.
but somehow seemed like he was committed to whatever the hell he was doing.
Mm.
And you read that in books and you see it in movies,
Right.
and that's kind of what it seems like. People are just, that's a part of the culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't sound.
Yeah.
That sounds a little bit off. I don't know. I don't know if they really share that particular aspect of Paris as being romantic, the pooping in a hole and
Yeah.
I wonder. I really did wonder. I was like, how is this even allowed?
yeah. That was shocking to me too.
Mm.
That you would go into. I mean,
Again, though, we paid what, like $50?
That was cheap. Yeah.
$25 each.
okay.
I would do it again.
Yeah.
I like it. I think when you get a little bit too comfortable, it takes away from the experience.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
I
I
agree.
mean, that is the experience, right?
Yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah.
like when you have to carry your suitcases up 17 flights of stairs, and not 17, but like 7, and at 2 a.m., you're definitely focusing on every step.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's imprinting at all
Yeah.
times. Versus when you have this beautiful hotel, you just hit beep
Yeah.
at the
Yeah,
top, go
yeah.
to sleep.
I mean, there's something to be said about a place where they are selling books on the street,
True.
you know?
Mhm.
And I don't know if I've ever, I think maybe they did the same maybe in Montreal. I think I remember them selling there was one cart of books, but there were multiple
Yeah.
places where people were either selling them out of a cart or there were these really old and small bookstores and there were books outside
Mhm.
on tables and in boxes.
Mm.
And obviously all of them were in French, but there is something to be said about that. And they were all it wasn't like magazines. These were
Yeah.
these were books.
It's
Mm.
interesting that you say that, because I think that's something that people kind of want. Like, I think that maybe other places could be like that if that economy was supported.
Yeah.
So, and it kind of goes to say something about capitalism. It, as much as it's great, it destroys the fun that you don't even know about.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But also at the same time, I guess that's not a good use of your time. Like, are you always going to be looking at books?
Well, I mean, this is so funny. Like we this is okay to do this, but we're off on a completely different tangent. But I think it's important to talk about it because the thought that I had when you were talking about pooping in a wall and taking a bucket and was whether or not the traditionalism and the intellectualizing everything, if that kind of stagnates progress in a way. Like you have, when you speak to the person that is from France that has the ability to speak English, you're almost surprised at how well they can even speak English.
Mhm.
Because they've spent time obviously reading and learning English as well as French, and they can definitely relay a point of view and um, relay a point of view eloquently, and you are surprised by that. But then you wonder, okay, so is that because they place so much value on that particular thing, do they not allow progress in other areas, such as
Mm.
should we remodel the restrooms?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do we really need to hold on to that?
Yeah.
I mean, but that, I guess there's probably that, maybe that's the only thing. I don't remember what else do I remember in France that I thought was a little bit backwards. That was probably anything else do you guys remember
I
from
mean,
that?
there's definitely a wealth gap. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay,
come
interesting.
on,
Yeah.
racism.
So there
pretty
was
apparent.
racism and
Oh yeah. I
hmm.
mean, it's so highly segregated.
Okay.
I mean, and it's crazy. It's like you all of a sudden, and what's wild about it is that you have this beautiful part of town. You have like what is it, Third Art in the Song or something like that.
Mhm.
And then you go over to, I forget what it's called, but when you go up towards, there's the basilica or a church
Mhm.
Mhm.
at the top of the hill. As you go up there, it starts to become the economy is it's basically a declining economy as you go up. So it's
Yeah.
like as you go down, increase in economy. As you go up,
That's
decline in
strange.
economy.
It's like
Um,
Brazil.
Yeah, and it's weird because you can't really tell it's on a hill or anything like that. But right when you get close to I think it's Nord, the train station.
Okay.
Yeah. We saw a girl get hit to the ground by a guy.
Yeah.
What?
Just bop and on the
Yeah.
ground.
Actually, it happened twice.
yeah,
It
we saw
happened
it-
both times.
Yeah.
Saw a woman get beat twice.
Yeah. Twice. Yeah. The second time.
What are you talking about?
2 separate trips.
By guys?
By guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
That's another thing
'Cause
where
I
we're
think it's
like, yo,
accepted
things
there.
are different. People were just watching her just getting smacked.
Smacked to the ground.
By like another French guy?
Yeah.
Like these
Yeah.
are French people?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Or like
Yeah.
talk to his woman and just grab her by the arm. It's just like,
Huh.
get over here.
Yeah.
It's just like, what? Everyone's just looking at it like, oh, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Huh.
And there was another one where we had people just screaming and then just beating each other. And I was just like,
I've
Yeah.
seen that. I've seen like couples like fighting each other,
yeah.
but not like super violent where they're throwing.
But I've also seen that in America too. So,
well, it happens.
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure
It
here.
happens. Yeah.
One time I saw a dude punch a girl. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's so interesting? So you saw that in Paris. Now, if you go to various parts of the United States, you're going to see that everywhere.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Very
Yep.
true.
And I guess it's like you have like the clouded eyes, and all
Yeah.
of a sudden you see it and
Yeah.
you're like, no way, Paris is real.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean that was a weird thing, and like what I found weird was that it's like when people talk about Haiti, like it really blows my mind when people talk about Haiti because they say that the Dominican Republic is green, and then you go over to Haiti and it becomes black, and it's like cursed.
oh, right.
I'm like,
Huh.
yo, they have trees. Like, how is it black? Like, there's something off by it because they
Mm.
say Haiti's cursed. And there's a similar feeling when you go over to Paris.
Well, you know why Haiti's cursed, right?
Yeah.
Because they rebelled.
They freed themselves.
yeah.
Mm.
But okay.
Um,
As long as we got that out there.
Haiti's not cursed. We went over there and it was, it was darker. But the people were darker. There was
Right.
definitely more shade there. It's not as clean.
Yeah.
So they're not spending as much time. They probably don't have people going around in mopeds picking up poop.
Okay.
So, it's also Paris's fault.
Right.
They let people, they're letting that side down.
Right.
They did take over parts of Africa, so you
Yeah.
can't really displace people and expect
Yeah,
it to
that's a whole other
yeah.
discussion.
So
Yeah.
that was interesting for me. I think being African American and everything, going there and seeing it happen in a different area.
So, so I had a question. I had a thought about something relating to that.
I was gonna say, what did you think was the most racist city we went to? Was
Prague,
it Prague? Yeah. Or Greece?
Prague.
Mm.
Greece, they had brown people, but Prague was wild.
Mm.
The KKK lives in Prague, I swear.
We recommend not going to Prague anyway.
Yeah.
Not much to do, not much to see.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that sucks. I always wanted to go to Prague and go to like a club in a church.
You could do that in
You
Paris
could do that in Berlin.
or Berlin.
Okay.
Prague, it's a small city center, and you kind of just walk around, and every path leads back to the city center, and
Huh.
you can pay for boats in the water and stuff, but the food isn't as good as anywhere else.
Okay.
It is really cheap. You can go on beer tours.
You know what Prague is? It's like a cheap Disneyland,
Yeah, it is.
Really?
but like the real thing. It's like when you go to Epcot, but it's real.
Okay.
So it's not big enough to spend like a couple days. Like, don't make it your trip. Like, don't think of it as like a trip. Think of it like going to an amusement park,
Yeah, it's a day.
Oh,
because it's like perfect
okay.
in a way. But it's just like a perfectly old town. But I think
Yeah.
it just didn't live up to.
Think about Lisbon compared to it though. Perfectly old town,
Yeah, but is it
but it's
because
way better.
because we like the urbanicity? You know, we're a bit more creative.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not like, if something's dirty, it doesn't really affect us. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? There's some people that would prefer luxury over creativity.
There's a lot of people like that.
Yeah, true.
So I think
Yeah.
a lot of people would actually prefer Prague.
Hmm.
Maybe.
What's the difference between Prague and Lisbon? Like in terms of that
I like Chrissy. I think she'd give a good.
yeah, Christy.
Well, let me think. Lisbon, it's first of all a lot bigger. We realized we didn't have enough time in Lisbon.
Okay.
The going out scene is super cool. There's a lot of really cool bars, a lot of really cool restaurants that we went to. And so I don't know, there was just a lot more to do. And then Prague just felt like you could do it in a day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. And Lisbon
Well-
had like this, like in the city center, there's like rows and rows and rows of houses and small restaurants. And you kind of go up the hill, and every corner you turn, people are laughing and there's like things going on.
Mhm.
And in Prague, it was just kind of quieter. And as Essen said, I guess a little more luxurious in a way. It didn't have that more artistic scene where people maybe like flowing out to the street because they're all drinking and they're hanging out. In Prague, they're more kind of like tucked away
Okay.
when the night comes.
Uh,
Um,
and
Don't get me wrong though.
Hmm.
The scenery was beautiful though.
yeah.
Because I remember taking the train and that was cool. It's definitely worth it, but it's not like something where we're like, oh, like you have to. We're talking about like first trip,
Yeah.
things you have to see, because if you miss them, it's going to.
so I
ruin
get
your
you.
time.
So what you're saying is if you put Lisbon and Prague on the same list, you would check off.
Lisbon, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Lisbon's one of those ones where you go into it and you're like, this would be cool, and it
Okay.
just blows it out of the water. And I think
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what we're comparing it to. I think everywhere we went, it blew it. Like, we're not
Definitely.
talking about things lightly. Like, it blew us out of the water. We were like,
Yeah.
this is amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm also a big foodie, and the food in Lisbon was like all fresh seafood. They had like octopus hot dogs.
Oh.
They had ton of paella with different seafoods in them, and it was like different flavors I'd never tried before. But Prague, I was just like constantly disappointed by the food.
Mm.
I don't
They
know.
have great snacks though.
They have good snacks, but
What are
Great
snacks? Like what?
They have like ice cream.
Ice cream in like a puff.
fried cone.
yeah.
It's like the land of like funnel cake.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Huh.
like, my mouth is salivating thinking about it. They literally had a cinnamon bun cone with
Yeah.
ice cream on the top, and then they had another thing where it was fried. Oh, wasn't it like fried apple strips with like fried apple chips
Oh, the potato
with
tornado.
cinnamon? Yeah,
Yeah.
and some other. Yeah.
A lot of fried stuff, which I prefer like the seafood and fresher stuff. I'm not a huge dessert person.
Yeah,
Like I like cakey stuff. So
but their
Wow.
beer is crazy. That's one thing you can go to Prague
Oh,
for.
yeah.
Beer is crazy.
I'm also gluten free. So
Oh, it's gluten free, really?
no, I'm gluten free.
Oh,
So maybe that's why I didn't enjoy it as much.
Oh, so the beer was great.
Well, they just have so much of it.
So go to Prague for beer.
Budvar,
If you like,
unreal. Looks like
if
Budweiser.
you like beer.
But also
Interesting.
Berlin. Didn't they have good beer?
Um,
Essen started to develop an allergic reaction in his
Yeah,
eyes from all
yeah.
the beer.
I'm allergic to beer.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we
Interesting.
haven't tried it here. I haven't drank 40 days straight. So.
Oh, right. But so also, were these wheat based beers?
Yeah, I mean, there were all types of beers, but
Okay.
I mean, we thought it was. I think it's alcohol, to be honest. So I can't be an alcoholic because I'm allergic to it.
Mm.
You add that with European pollen and bed bugs. I mean, I guess my eyes start to swell up.
Yeah.
You probably were eating a lot of like sugar and stuff too.
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah,
Trying everything.
yeah. My
Yeah,
eyes
stuff.
were like.
I would say
it's
I had that
bad.
issue too.
Berlin, we have to get to. So cool. And the
Okay.
food was so good. And basic.
So
yeah.
go ahead. Top place is Paris.
I actually didn't put Berlin on mine because I think I've done it. And when I go to Europe, I think of it as like a coastal vacation where I want to go to like Greece and Santorini and Italy and Croatia and things along the coastline because
Okay.
that's like more of a holiday vacation to me. I think Berlin is somewhere I would live,
Oh.
like Paris,
Really?
where it's not relaxing. It was kind of like go, go, go. But so that would be why I'm kind of highlighting it.
Okay.
Yeah. And I also did graphic design. And so they have like a ton of really cool, weird museums around every corner. And it's like they're really freaky. They're really
Yeah.
cool. And they take kind of the imagination to a whole nother level.
If you go to Berlin, you'll end up with like +2 intellectual points.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, you'll come back a better.
definitely.
I mean, maybe not a better person, but you'll come back something else,
Mhm.
Okay.
more developed for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it does put you in a kind of a crazy scenario when you look at, the world artifacts too.
Yeah.
I
I think one thing I did in Berlin was like I looked in maybe not Yelp, but like I like to look at like weird blogs about what people do in places
Okay.
like this. So
I'm
Um,
listening. I'm just making it perfect.
Okay.
Keep going.
so in Berlin, one of the list of like kind of weird to-dos was to go to different haunted houses. Like
Okay.
haunted houses, sorry, abandoned houses. And so I was like, oh, Essen, here's this one we have to go to. It was like 11 a.m. and I see it and I'm like, oh my God, that's it. And it has crazy graffiti artwork. It's like, that looks so cool. We got to go check it out. And then we go up to it and there's this guy with like one of those collars on with the studs that are poking out. And
Okay.
his dog has the same collars and these big dogs. And he's like walking them and he's coming out of the house. And so then Essen and I sprint away. We thought we're about to get
yeah,
killed.
massive dog.
Yeah.
And there's like people living in these things. They're tents.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Oh.
Berlin is a trip,
Yeah. You don't know what you're going to get.
and the food is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
The everything about it is unreal.
When you
Like,
say the food is crazy, what do you mean?
I mean, they
it's
have
like good.
Yeah, because they have a lot of immigrants.
Okay.
So,
okay.
and that was one thing people want to talk about. That was the one thing like we realized people want to talk about that in Europe. You talk about Italian food, yeah, fantastic, right? You talk about no one talks about Dutch food. I'm sorry, maybe the pancakes, but no one ever talked about the immigrants. The people that aren't from there. That maybe the European countries and they went in there and destroyed their countries.
Right.
The refugees. Man, food is wild. Like we had
Interesting.
Vietnamese food in Berlin.
Oh, yeah.
It was insane.
I think Bourdain talked about this.
What, Vietnamese food?
No, the food in Berlin being
So
Oh,
underrated.
ridiculous. So, like everything we had was
The best we've
great.
had of that type.
Coffee was good. Even the burger was
Doner
good.
kebab.
Yeah, we had. I thought kebabs were just like things you poke on the stick. No, it's totally wrong.
interesting.
Kebabs are the greatest thing that ever made it onto the planet. It's like you got yourself a really soft
Pita.
pita bread, but it's really more like
It was like garlicky.
yeah,
and
is
kind
it
of fried a
roti?
little.
It's like more like a what's that bread? The Indian bread?
Roti?
Is it roti?
Yeah.
It's like that with garlic and the craziest meat I've ever had. I mean, it was just insane. Like there are a few times where I've eaten something and it's actually tasted perfect.
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
It's
Wow.
like one of the 3 times it's ever happened. I think maybe 2.
Like where you tasted a variation of it and then you go back and you think this is the original sauce that they
Okay.
tried to recreate.
Oh,
You know what I mean? You track
okay.
it back and you're like, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like the perfect In-N-Out burger at times. You know, it's
Yeah.
not as perfect as it used to be, I don't think. But this was like, I had it 3 times,
Mm.
and it was by a fluke. It was just such a fluke. Like it was like we have like 3 different options. I tried this one, and it was like, oh my god.
Yeah. Another thing we should have done, we realized we'd get to Berlin, and we're there on weird days like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
And those are like the 3 days that the clubs are closed. Or like, and they're never closed because they're open like for 72 hours on the weekend.
Pro tip.
So we didn't go out at all.
So you.
So yeah, we showed up. We showed up Sunday
Sunday night, I
and we
think.
could have gone out Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Something happened like that. We could have gone out Sunday, and we also were there in early June. So we're there in early June. We show up Sunday, and literally we're like, "Oh yeah, we're going to go out in Berlin," and it's like the clubs are open 24 hours.
They
Yeah.
probably saved you because I hear Berlin is crazy.
Yeah, I've heard crazy stories.
Yeah, I saw some stuff where I was like, dude,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
people on chains and like little pets.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a lot.
But like I said,
If you want to do it,
you'll become
think about scheduling that in.
come
what
back
we talked about at the
educated.
beginning.
No, you,
Okay, so that's another pro tip. So
Mhm.
first of all, you need to figure out what days the clubs are closed.
Yeah.
So and you think it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe, but
Let's
whatever
say
days you guys were
Monday,
there.
Tuesday.
You
for
could
sure.
research it for sure.
Okay, so clubs being closed.
Yeah.
Huh. And then the other thing was that the food is also incredible in Berlin, which
Yeah.
you would expect it to be. Well, obviously, France would be the place where you would expect food to be amazing.
Really good. Yeah.
People say Italy food is great, but I thought it wasn't ever good
Yeah.
in Italy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think what it is with Berlin, you can't miss.
Yeah.
So there's just so much diversity in Berlin.
And it's $3 for a kebab. That was the other crazy thing.
Yeah, it was cheap.
Insanely cheap.
Yeah, it was cheap. Beer was cheap. Beer was really good. I mean, the Affenhauer. They do drink. I don't remember the beer. Was it warm? Was it cold? I don't remember.
Mm.
It was good though.
So going back to just philosophy, thinking about the rigidness of people who read a lot. Think about the fact that culture doesn't really shift so much in France, but
Mm.
because of all those immigrants in Berlin, they had you had a much different food experience.
Yeah. And we also our Airbnb wasn't in the city. It was actually kind of further away
Okay.
because it was cheaper. And so
Kreisberg.
we were on that side where the immigrants lived.
Okay.
So we weren't in the city at all. So we had one bratwurst sausage, but that was on the train.
Okay.
But so I think we would have had the more touristy
Currywurst.
food, currywurst, yeah, more touristy food if we were in the city. But luckily, we get to see this whole other side.
Yeah, I didn't
Okay.
have the greatest German food.
Yeah,
And I was like, well, that's disappointing. You know, I thought they make brats like, out of this world. And then we had the immigrant food, and it was just like,
Well, I think we do a good job of in America of taking, like, if you're gonna get something from Germany, or anywhere, if you're gonna take on any culture's food, you're gonna usually here we're gonna get the best of the best
Yeah.
and make it
Yeah.
taste
Yeah.
as good as possible. So
Yeah.
that's
it's
true.
kind of hard to go somewhere else and have that same food and expect it to live up to that, with the exception of what you guys experienced.
yeah, I would agree.
Also, a big thing about Berlin that you didn't really think about was the river. Like we went to restaurants on the river, and it was pretty awesome. And it's like relatively green as well.
Okay.
So I don't remember there being that many bugs. Do you remember?
No,
I don't think there are that many bugs.
Hmm.
The train system is crazy. It's super usable.
Hmm.
They will fine you 80 euros if you get on it illegally. So pay.
Yeah.
Wow. Pro tip.
Yeah, and it's a round trip, not a one way, right?
yeah,
You can go one way as far as you can one way, and then as far as you can the other way, and it's about 4 euros, I believe.
4 euros.
Yeah.
Wow.
But, I mean, you can go like,
that's great.
yeah, we went pretty far, like 20 miles maybe, or
we
12
did. We went
miles.
to this place called Telefunkenism, but I'm not sure if that's it. But it was the remains from, is it NASA? Not NASA.
I think it was a U.S. It was a U.S. satellite.
US satellite, and they turned every single artifact into something really awesome. And there's like posters and stuff. So we went to explore that, and it was like €2, and we're there the
Hmm.
whole day.
I don't know. They just tagged it all.
Yeah,
Tagged it. Made it look sick.
yeah,
Hmm.
It's like what LA would look like if it was beautiful.
Mm. What do you mean?
yeah.
You mean like
Like,
if it was clean.
think about anything in LA, even because I mean it was clean, but it wasn't the cleanest.
Mhm.
It's just like
so maybe there's no regulation. Meaning like they're letting people do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
but I
like
think
if,
a lot
if there was a lot with there was 10 cars in the lot and nobody was doing anything with that lot and those cars, artists would go into in
Yes.
Berlin and make that into something.
Yeah.
100%. But
And in LA they put you in jail if you decide, try
Yeah,
to do something.
yeah.
like
Yeah.
I mean, also I
Mm.
just think that it's a different culture. Like I think when I talk to people from Germany, they look at us and like just Americans do that. Like we don't do that here. I think that there's like a different code of ethics.
that. Right.
And also, there's so many more people in LA, and it's like I think in Europe they stick to what they know, and every country is really prideful, and they're like, "This is what we do it well. We're
Mm.
going to do the best we can." But in America, we want more and more, and people
Yeah.
want everything, every cuisine, and we're going to be the best at everything.
Mm.
But
People always gonna take advantage.
Mm.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. So, all right, cool. So, all right. So we're gonna say Paris is the top.
Mhm.
What's the second?
Santorini.
Yeah,
Santorini is the second, and what's the third?
Amalfi or Hvar.
I have
or
Lisbon.
Yeah, I'd say Lisbon.
Mhm.
I think Italy. We've now been to the Amalfi Coast and Lake Como, and like Milan, Rome, places like that. But I really still want to go to Puglia and Sicily, and that's where I was going to go this summer. And I think I still would. I don't know the best city in Italy or the best part, and so I think I would still want to explore more.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It-
And
Agreed.
so all of these places you probably could spend the whole time that you were in Europe. So what was it, 6 weeks?
Yeah.
You could probably have spent 6 weeks in Italy,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
or Greece. You could
Or
do.
Greece. Okay.
Yeah.
Greece
Wow.
would be
So you
kinda-
could do Greece?
Yeah, you can
for
island
6
hop.
weeks?
There's like 12 islands.
Okay.
Greece would be kind of hard to do for 6 weeks, don't you think?
I know
If-
people that go there for the summer.
For the
Mm.
summer.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's slower though.
way
Yeah.
slower.
Okay.
Well, I mean, Italy's pretty slow, but I guess I just
Also-
had to see more.
Okay.
More.
Huh.
I mean, so Athens is wildly different than anywhere else in
In Greece.
Europe.
Oh, in Europe.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah. Because you have Barcelona, which is like this beach city. It's very different from Paris, but still, you still have this like metropolitan-esque feel.
Mhm.
And it's a bit more refined. Athens is like completely different culture, completely different vibe. I think it's probably closer to what you would experience in like what we experienced in Morocco.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a mesh between that, and maybe it's just like the warm climate and then the close proximity of people, and then the declining economy
Yeah.
Hmm.
that puts people in more like a development stage, constant hustle.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Santorini was awesome though. And so we booked it. So we stayed in 3 different places on the island because there's the place called Oya, which apparently has the most beautiful sunsets in the world. That's really expensive though. So we stayed 1 night there.
Mhm.
And then we stayed 2 nights in Fira, which is the main city of Santorini. So it's super touristy. And then we did 2 or 3 nights in the place with the black beaches.
Okay.
I forget what it's called.
I don't remember.
Yeah. So that was like much cheaper. So it was cool because we got to live in each part of Santorini and they're wildly different.
Really?
And yeah, it kind of, because it's just like the amount you pay as you go up to all those places is
Okay.
so different.
Okay.
Oya is like you have like the pool on like the white accommodations coming out of the hillside.
It's like the Bellagio.
It's like the Bellagio. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then we also rode ATVs, which was really cool.
Okay.
Santorini is a trip.
Yeah.
I actually there isn't any other place I've been to that has been quite like it, in the sense that when you get there, you're like, wow, like it really is just white houses on top of a hill.
Yeah.
Like that's it. So because you get on the ship and you're at the bottom and you're like, huh, that's all it was. Like I really could have just seen it, and then you're there, and it's just something that you have to experience.
Right.
Yeah.
And then also, I think another thing with the expectation, like don't go in with too high of expectations. Like don't force it into a mold that it isn't,
Right.
because it offers what it has to offer, and you just have to be willing to kind of accept it. So,
So one mold would be the idea that the hillside White House is the whole place.
exactly.
Right.
And like everything's gonna be this magical experience. I'm gonna see Mamma Mia running down the streets and people getting married and
Yeah, it's very much so. The hillside is like that perfect hillside that you see in postcards. And then as soon as you take like 10 steps back the other way, it's just like green, dirt.
Regular place.
Yeah.
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 And you got like your touristy stuff, postcards, and then like, your crappy restaurants.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you think about what it is, it's placid
Ocean.
ocean, the Mediterranean, which is basically clear. It's warm, and then it's cheap. And that's what no one talks about. Like you can eat for like €2.
Yeah.
You can rent an ATV for €10.
And this is in Santorini.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
in Santorini.
Santorini is cheap.
Yeah,
If
So
you
it's just-
stay or you do the cheaper
do it the right
things.
way.
Yeah.
if you're not dumb, and if you don't take taxis, because taxis are super expensive.
Okay. So as I said to you guys before, just thinking about this whole trip, even this brief conversation we've had about it, I mean, you guys have a lot of tips and a lot of insights. So first of all, the idea that it's cheap in Santorini to eat is, I would never have guessed that.
Mm.
So that's not something that people would know.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. Like we had,
No, you could. I know
Yeah.
what you're about to say. Yeah.
So I mean, I even gave a recommendation. I was like, look, like you're gonna spend $150 here, because that place we went to for your birthday.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't crazy, because like if you think about it, $150, like we just went to another place for like same, and I think there was like 120, but I had like 3 courses. It's like massive lamb plate. We had octopus. You had octopus, and then the wine was cool, and then you have this view that's insane.
Right.
Like the view is pretty breathtaking.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it was awesome. And then we would come back from a restaurant, like finish at like 7 or 8. And by 9 p.m., it was just silent. You couldn't hear one thing. So it was like
Everybody's
everyone's asleep. There's
back.
not much to do because
Oh.
you're either at the restaurants, which close down,
Okay.
they close down kind of early. And then you have just the Mediterranean Ocean that
Right.
your villa is facing in front of. So if you're staying on that part, it's really awesome because it just kind of shuts down. It's quiet. It's really peaceful.
hmm
It's really nice.
And so, what does the sun set later? Is it dark really
that's
early? Is it
Question.
dark late?
Probably like 8:30.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
normal.
insane.
honestly, we
Normal.
took a photo of the sunset, so I can actually give you the time.
Okay.
Let me.
But it might be the wrong time.
And then
That's a good point.
no, it should register the same time unless
we can
your
infer.
phone didn't connect. Your phone didn't connect to the network there, so
Mm.
maybe not. So what you're saying is the town itself shuts down.
Yeah.
Everybody's in,
Yeah.
tourists and everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
No restaurants open.
Yeah. And I think
Wow.
actually it's also because a select few
9
stay
p.m.
in Oya
Okay.
because it's so expensive and there's only a few houses on the hill that you could really stay in.
Okay.
So all the tourists have gone
okay.
back to like the cheaper parts of the island.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
You said I can show a picture, right?
Yeah. So just plug that in. And let me know when your screen has gone dark. Oh, we're still. Is it showing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see it here.
So
That's pretty.
9 p.m.
That's 9 p.m. Okay, so it is a little later.
Yeah.
That's pretty bright. That is-
Yeah.
That's still incredible.
It was crazy.
You're-
Another thing about Santorini is that there's a place right next to Oya. It's called a Maori Bay and you can cliff dive off the cliffs there.
Okay.
So it was awesome to go there in the evening, like cliff dive, hang out. You can go get seafood around this bay.
Okay.
And then you wait for the sunset and everyone's watching it.
And majority of people were tourists.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
So no locals jumping off of the cliffs.
No,
No.
there were
Really?
some. Yeah, there was a kid that like shattered his
I
arm.
would say for the most part, the people that live on Santorini work there
Okay.
because it's really just a tourist hub.
He was a young kid. He was like 11,
Oh, okay.
12.
Yeah.
So yeah, remember that?
Very nice. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty.
Did you show the dinner maybe?
Wow, that's a great picture too.
Yeah. Look.
Yeah.
And
And
you
we got
guys-
these people right here. Oh, that's not that's not people.
Another place.
Who is the person who painted their house orange
Yeah, right.
out of
weird.
everybody else? That's so funny. What were you gonna say?
I was to say another place similar to Santorini, just based on what we've done, would be like Hvar,
Okay.
because that's an island off of Croatia, or we left from Split in Croatia, and
Mhm.
it has that similar feel where the houses are just all kind of piled up on a hill, looking
Okay.
over the ocean,
Mm,
and you come back and it's so quiet at night because a select few again are like in those houses around you.
right. And is it hot?
Yes.
Yeah, warm at night.
And it's hot during the day as well, right?
Yeah.
And this is a dry heat.
Yes.
Is it?
It was dry.
Okay, so I'm wondering if people were just worn out
Yeah,
as well. You know what I mean?
that's
So
true.
just like they got up early, went to the beach. They've been at the beach all day, just in the sun
Yeah.
all day. Because Kauai is like that, where
Yeah.
you are, you're out all day, and then by 8 o'clock, everybody's just worn out.
Yeah, I think in Hawaii, my family we eat at like 6.
Okay.
It's like, okay, we're done at 3. We're tired. Let's eat.
Yeah.
Let's go to bed.
Huh.
Yeah.
I would never have guessed that though, but so in terms of demographic, were there the tourists your age or older?
It's a good question. Santorini is definitely known to be more romantic couples. All the honeymoons are done there.
Okay.
I know that Mykonos is like people our age that are younger and they want to party. That's the
Mhm.
biggest party island. So Santorini, I would say that it was a bit more families, but also couples.
Okay. Yeah, I see Essen had put up a picture. I guess that was your dinner.
Yeah.
Mm.
Here's another one though.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, and this right here. This is how you eat in
Oh, you can make
Santorini for cheap.
okay.
Yes. Some nice cheap pittas,
Oh yeah.
kebabs with the meat.
And honestly, this is how. So Nick.
Yeah.
So Nick's one of my buddies from Newcastle. They do Greece as well.
Okay.
So they have this thing called what is it called? It's called like holidays or something. Like they go on like a Greek holiday basically, and when they're 18,
Okay.
19, 17, because they all graduated 17. So they go to Greece for a week and they just party every day
Wow.
for 7 days, and most of them only have about like $10 to eat a day.
Mm.
So they commit to eating euros and McDonald's
Mm,
for every meal.
Nice.
crazy.
And Nick said that one of his buddies stuck to the dollar menu
Oh, wow.
while he was there.
That's a whole kind of video. He should do that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Post. So we're at an hour and 23 minutes, and we'll wrap it up here, but I'll put it out in the airways for you guys you should definitely try to do your own kind of podcast like this and talk about these places, because I think if I was to plan a trip now, there's already some things that I have learned from you that would help.
Nice.
So I have been on the other end of trying to work out flights between one city to the next.
Yeah.
So doing that ahead of time makes a lot of sense. Also, the club thing again was amazing, as well as the clubs being closed, right?
Yeah.
And then the idea that food is good in Berlin, I never would have guessed that. So cool stuff.
Nice.
Well, let's do it again in the future.
Mhm.
You guys have notes. This we could probably make this a 10-part series.
Yeah.
Probably. Or
Um,
you just go into do's and don'ts, travels and have-nots,
Yeah.
Yeah.
wishes and won'ts.
So no Prague. Wouldn't return to Prague.
Yeah.
would definitely go back to Paris, even though
Wouldn't go
you've
back to
been-
Sweden. We
Wouldn't
didn't
go
cover
back.
that, but
Wouldn't go back to
No.
Sweden
so expensive.
I go
Let
back
me
to
down.
Sweden to like fish.
to fish only.
Yeah, ice
Yeah,
skate.
I wanna go to
or-
Stockholm
or
or-
like go backpacking or something like
Oh,
that.
I do want to do that thing in Sweden where you fish on the 3 rivers. There are rivers that freeze,
That sounds cool.
and you
Hey,
you
Sweden-
ice skate. You ice
Sweden's
skate from-
beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. One of the craziest looking places ever. But it's like $300 to do anything.
Wow. How is that? Like just people
I don't
just
even know
make-
because I asked the dude. He's like, yeah, I make a pretty good salary. Like I make like $42,000 US. I'm like, what?
Whoa.
He's like, yeah, man. It gives you a nice life here. I was like, dude, we just
Oh,
went.
but they don't pay for anything.
I mean, I guess
Yeah, I
not.
think they don't.
We went to eat. What did we went? We
That
went and
makes
had
sense.
like we literally had pepperoni, some chips, maybe some Swedish guac, and it was like $350.
Yeah. And it was
What?
subpar. The taxis would be $250 US to go half an hour.
Oh my god.
It was
It was sickening.
yeah.
It was ridiculous.
The train from the airport to Stockholm was like I might as well have taken a Uber Black. It was
Yeah.
like $55 or $80.
Okay, so but the difference is if you go to the market and you buy so if you go to the grocery store, is a grocery store oh, you probably don't know.
No, don't know.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Can't
Yeah.
comment.
You can't
So-
buy a beer.
But I bet they don't pay tax on food.
Mm, okay.
You know what I mean? I bet they don't obviously they
Mm.
don't pay for health care.
No.
What else do
It was the nicest train I've ever been on.
right.
Things were nice.
It was
Ever-
that train was the nicest train. It was insane.
Huh.
It's called like the Strava.
Mm.
It was insane.
So basically if
From
you
the
want to go to
future.
Sweden and spend 2 weeks, you're going to spend quite a bit of money.
And you might as well
Mhm.
just do Michelin star restaurants. Because I looked
Yeah.
for us and it was like, all right, what do we eat? Okay, this place is isn't open during August, but it's Michelin star, 150, 250 a pop.
Yeah.
But we ended up spending,
The same.
basically that much.
So do you if you do you think you would be able to go to Sweden and actually have a reasonable experience if you you knew people there and you
Yeah.
weren't able to.
I say go to Stockholm with friends,
Okay.
like with someone from there. So I have friends that are from Stockholm.
Okay.
I think I would have a great time if he showed me around.
Right.
But Stockholm is not one of the. It looks like
Yeah.
Boston. Like
Yeah.
It looks like a lot of places that you've been. So if you're from LA and you've never seen anything like Stockholm's, gonna be immediately like kind of mind blowing to you because it's different. There's pebblestone streets and stuff like that, and small alleyways.
Mhm.
But you see that. Let's say you go there first and you go to Paris. It's like there is no comparison.
Okay.
The architecture, they're socialists, so there's just like different things there that are like completely different that are cool to see.
Yeah.
But if that's not what you're looking for, then it's not going to be that satisfying, I don't think.
Yeah,
But
I
the
agree.
wedding was great.
Wedding was great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, make sure
Super.
you get that. The wedding was amazing.
The wedding. Yeah. Go to a
It's
wedding in
incredible.
Sweden if you're
Thank you
invited.
for inviting me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make sure you interrupt the groom's father.
We
Well-
didn't talk about Morocco, but that could be a separate.
Let's see.
Go to Morocco.
Give me one reason why to go to Morocco and then one reason why not.
You first, Kristen.
Okay, go to Morocco because it's Africa, and you probably might not have been to Africa before. So, really interesting to see like people playing with snakes on the ground, and like
Right.
it's so
Right.
different.
Yeah.
Reason not to is because you get it's super unsafe. Luckily, I went with Essen, but as a girl, I would not go there at all.
By
Um,
yourself.
Yeah, definitely not.
Right.
And you get lured into traps where you have to run away. So it's a lot of like you're on edge. You can't really sleep.
Okay.
We also did it the cheap way. So I would say
But was it
spend
that cheap?
$35 a night.
Between
Ooh.
3 of us.
Okay.
You couldn't. Oh wow.
That's
Jesus.
cheap.
No. I'm saying that was 33 each. So it was like $100. We had
Oh.
a 4-story riad.
Yeah.
It was beautiful on the inside.
So that would be my reasons.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then
You're right, though. We
then
should
we're
spend
still
more.
we're sort of in the range then. So
We are.
$100 to $150. So if you had taken it up to 150, you probably would have been in a different position in terms of safety.
Again, we would not have been talking about it as much as we talk
True.
about it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something that I still have not figured out. I don't know what that is. Is it like there's beauty in the struggle? Like I don't know.
until you get killed.
Yeah, but sometimes you just gotta tickle death a little bit.
Right.
So I mean,
Uh.
I wouldn't say Morocco is unsafe. I'd say it's unbelievably uncomfortable, and and tickling a little bit on unsafe.
It's
Right.
definitely unsafe for females.
Yeah, girls get heckled a little bit if you are an independent, if you did not grow up in a culture where men are the patriarch, the head of the family,
Right.
and that is not something that you outwardly or know when to like be in your place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just so many environments and times where you'll be out of place.
Right.
There was one time we were outside and there was literally like 150 dudes just like sitting there smoking the cigarettes. Everything's facing the road and it's all guys eating lunch. All guys. Not one woman in sight because we're outside the walls because I guess all the women were working or something like that. And like Chrissy and I sit down and the guy basically like comes up to us and he's like, "Hey, she shouldn't be here."
Oh wow.
You know,
Huh.
So then we go home.
Then we get in a taxi and then don't even talk to me about how they take left turns because that was ridiculous.
Huh.
One reason you should go to Morocco, it'll burst your bubble. So everyone needs to understand that how we live life every day isn't how we live it. And you need to understand how other people live. And it gives you a perspective that you would never even imagine. You think that you saw Aladdin, you imagined it, but you saw it in a cartoon. But like things from that movie are real.
Right. Right.
People are living it every day,
Right.
and it also makes you super grateful.
Uh,
Like the guy was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, you can't talk about the king
right.
because it'll chop your hand off."
Right. So right. So yeah, that's crazy. So basically, you're taking yourself completely away from what you're used to.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
unsettling. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing about it there's nothing about it's comfortable unless you spend some money. Like it's comfortable, but there's still that element of like, if I get hurt here, if I do something that is out of the norm,
You're probably gonna
my
die.
fallbacks all go to crap. Like
Right.
I'm gonna have to get on an express flight back to New York, and it's gonna cost me $300,000, or I'm just gonna die here.
Yeah, there's no escape plan.
Yeah.
Right.
And like
Understood.
when we went to Sahara Desert, it was like, ooh, this is cool. But it's like you're 9 hours from anything,
No cell service.
and
if
you
you-
didn't see anything on the way there.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
remember we were talking, we were like, imagine like being a kid in the city trying to get out of this place, like getting
Yeah.
out of this village. Like, what am I gonna do? Get on a donkey and like have it drag me for
Yeah.
30 hours and then possibly make it because I might die of heat.
Yeah.
There's no water in between. There's nothing.
Dang, that's so true. Like you're stuck.
It's just tourist bus, and there's no one's gonna let you on the tourist bus.
Yeah.
kids think they're stuck here in South
Nah,
Central, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's funny. Huh. Well, all great points. I mean, like I said, we could make this. I think every time you come, what we'll do is try to talk a little bit about just the traveling aspect of it, and maybe we'll talk about each location.
Mhm.
So thank you guys so much for your time. I know you worked all day today, and you probably did some talking then. So I appreciate you being here. And we actually have had someone join on. I don't know who it is, but somebody's watching.
Wow. Hello.
It says 2 people are watching. So unfortunately, you joined on too late. So
You didn't miss much.
we're signing off. And if you want to hear what we talked about, people that are watching, you go back and we're talking about Europe and their experiences through Europe and do's and don'ts and pro tips. Adios, everybody.
Hasta luego,
Bye.
amigos.